feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Welcome to the post-show wrap-up of the Boca Raton Shrimp Tank. I'm your host, Jason Hill, sitting here with my co-host, Kevin Cox, Roland Kidwell, the directors at the FAU Adams Center, doing some really neat things over at FAU, so definitely check out their website. Today, we got to interview Jeffrey Shaw, the founder of multiple things. He's an author of a book, number one right here, LINGO. So definitely check that out on Amazon, a bestseller, as well as he's done 400 plus interviews on his show. He has his own podcast, so definitely check it out. We spent the last 50 minutes discussing how he works with different business owners across the United States, as well as in the photography world. So definitely listen to the Boca Raton Shrimp Tank podcast.com, as well as on iTunes, and check out the entire episode. So Jeffrey Shaw, tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and what the next chapter is.
Sure. So I am, I guess, what a lot of people consider definitely a serial entrepreneur, but I think a lot of people can relate. I wear a lot of different hats. So, my business is Jeffrey Shaw LLC, whatever that means. But what it consists of is still a little bit of portrait photography, which is how I started my career, primarily business coaching, the podcast Creative Warriors, and professional speaker, and and of course now author of a first-time book.
Nice.
So, Jeffrey, tell us a little bit about your unique value proposition that you offer to the people that you coach and provide strategy and all those other insights for.
Mm-hmm. So I think for any of us to define our unique value proposition, often we can find it in looking at our past, our history, and often what comes easiest to us. And the fact of the matter is, and someone had to point it out to me, before I wrote the book Lingo, somebody asked me what could have been a confrontational question. She asked me, well, what gives you the authority to write this book? And after I got over my fear of, oh my gosh, I don't have a right to write this book, I don't have a degree, all those things, I realized with my authority in writing this book, my unique value proposition is that I sold something no one needs to the hardest market in the world for a lot of years, right? I mean, nobody needs family portrait photography. It's a luxury item. And I offered that to the most affluent market in the world. So that to me is my unique value proposition. Give me the hard thing to sell, bring an idea that you can't quite even put together yet, and I like to find them marketable in people. And I think it's a bit of a sixth sense, probably tapping right into who I am as a photographer, to be able to find the marketable message in people.
You talk a little bit about in your book about a secret language strategy. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I'll even preface it with a little bit of a story. So how I discovered this idea of a secret language, and I coined the phrase for myself more than 30 years ago, it's because I had a struggling, let's say, failing photography business in my hometown. And I realized I had to shift because I was trying to present myself as a high-end portrait photographer in a community that struggle to pay their bills. And I realized, people don't buy a luxury item. They don't buy something they don't have to have when they don't have extra money. So I realized that I was a luxury product and I had to figure out how to do that. The problem was I was a lower middle class kid. So I had to figure out what is the lingo of the affluent market if that's who I'm going to serve. So my first visit was to one of the most exclusive department stores in the world, Bergdorf Goodman on Fifth Avenue, New York City. And I went there with $20 in my pocket to buy anything I could find for under $20, because that's all the money I had. And I wound up buying this tiny little votive candle. I then asked for it to be gift wrapped because I knew presentation is a big part of creating a high-end image. As the woman was gift wrapping this candle in truly wads of tissue paper, she suddenly stops with this really dramatic pause and she says to me, "Don't use any tape." Now, I didn't know what that meant. I looked up at her and said, I'm not sure what, I'm thinking to myself, in my family, we wrap our Christmas presents in newspaper and duct tape. Like, how do you not use tape? And she said, well, you have to understand what's going to happen here. The person purchasing this candle is going to give it as a gift. When they give it as a gift, before they give it, they're going to want to untie the ribbon, take off the box top, unfold the tissue paper to make sure the candle's in perfect shape, put it all back together, and know that they're giving a gift that's in perfect order. And that term, secret language, because you know what? You would never have known that. Like, this to me, it was like a way of thinking, a way of being that I had being growing up lower middle class and shopping at, Kmart and stores like that. I would never have known that. And I realized that that's kind of the way the world works. Walmart has a specific lingo. It's very cost conscious. So there are businesses, and your best and most successful brands are speaking the secret language of their ideal customers, speaking to their value and what's in their heart. And if you want to be successful in business, I think you have to figure out what the secret language is of your ideal customer.
Yeah. And you brought up during the show the whole Starbucks effect, right?
Yeah.
How is Starbucks still continuing to charge $5, $7 for a cup of coffee and really pushing the brim on that price level, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know that it has as much to do with the experience as it used to, right? I mean, I think initially they tried capturing that Italian cafe type of feeling.
Yeah.
I think it's drifted away. I think they've struggled. They've lost their soul a little bit. Howard Schultz is stepping down. I'm a little concerned because the last time he stepped down, they really lost their footing. I think they'll hold it this time, but I think it's now something I talk about in my book, Lingo, is the power of familiarity, which I think is one of the most powerful emotional triggers. I challenge anyone, if you're traveling to another country, try to not see a McDonald's or Starbucks logo. You can't not see it because we're very driven by familiarity. It's why there's such a thing as comfort food and Thanksgiving traditions, because familiarity makes us feel like we're in the right place. I think that's actually the emotional trigger. I think it's less about the experience, but it's more just so familiar and comforting to go to a Starbucks. I still, as much as I love an independent coffee shop, there's always a security in finding a Starbucks and knowing that the quality you're going to get has been standardized and overall you're going to have a good experience. So I think the power of what they have to offer has just shifted a little bit.
Yeah, completely agree. And that's why they're on every single corner in New York City, as well as down here in South Florida. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming out to the Shrimp Tank today. For the audience listening, how could they get in touch with you and your company?
So you can find me at jeffreyshaw.com. The book is there, my coaching services, philosophies, you name it. Just jeffreyshaw.com is the place to go.
Great. And remember, everyone watching this episode, check out the entire replay on iTunes, as well as the Boca Raton Shrimp Tank podcast.com. We spoke for about 50, 60 minutes, about helping out business owners and entrepreneurs. And he has interviewed 400 plus people on his podcast. So definitely check out the entire replay. You're going to get a lot of tips, for running a successful business. So thanks for joining us. And we look forward to joining everyone on the tank next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Take care.